Hello and welcome back to ERU, where we round up the biggest talking points and results from around European football. Joining me, it's Patrick Van Straten. We're both in grey, we're looking great. I'm feeling a lot better than Friday when I was coughing and spluttering all through Continental Club. And we're starting with PSG at the suggestion of Rum Cobra. A lot to dissect in this one, Pat.
Yeah, not so much the match though. It was a pretty routine victory for PSG, beating Montpellier 5-0 at home. But there was still controversy, obviously coming from the two stars, Neymar and Kylian Mbappe. Now, Neymar seems to quite rarely play at his best, but when he does, it's embarrassing for the league. He created 4 chances, completed 10 dribbles, and got a goal and an assist. But all the focus after the match is not on his actual performance, but really on, I guess, his disagreement with the referee, his hair, which was pink in this particular game.
I didn't like it.
And some of the arguments he had with other players on the pitch. He got given a yellow card by the ref for dissent because at one stage he tried to rainbow flick a defender. He had been like...
Which everyone loves to see.
He'd been kind of skilling around pointlessly. They were 1-0 up at this point and Montpellier were already down to 10 men. So you could argue that it was like slightly bad sportsmanship, but you're allowed to be a bad sportsman.
Yeah, there's no rule against
That's
it.
not what the ref's there for.
No, exactly.
So anyway, the ref went over and said, don't take the piss. Like, come on, just go to carnival and like calm down. And he apparently said, I play football and say nothing and still get a yellow. The ref said, be patient. And Neymar said, be patient my ass, which is pretty funny. On the other hand, it does just seem like the ref is taking a matter into his own hands here, which has absolutely nothing to do with him. This is the sort of thing that if Tuchel did it, you'd say fair enough. If one of his teammates did it, you know, the captain, fair enough. When it's the ref, I think, you're not there to preserve the feelings of the losing side. And it was only 1-0. Like, if he'd done it and then Montpellier had somehow come back and like drawn the game 1-1, everyone would be saying of Neymar, what an idiot.
Yeah.
So it's a risk you take when you do something kind of dickish. So I don't really understand it. And he just it felt like Neymar was really on just kind of a one-man revenge mission in this game. Like at one point he got kicked off the ball, put it down for the free kick, and then immediately like took that guy on and just dribbled it round him, which I like. That's fun.
Exactly. It's the sort of fun you watch football for, and that's sort of like...
Especially if you're a PSG fan.
But Neymar's petulance, Neymar's sort of arrogance makes football all the more watchable, especially if it's a PSG game against Montpellier. And, you know, that sort of brilliance is what everyone wants to see, and it kind of frustrates me that the ref is like trying to curb Neymar, who's done this for years. It's not exactly a new thing. But there was also other talking points. So Mbappe, who's been the beneficiary of every single Neymar assist in Ligue 1 this season, also got thrusted into the media highlight for petulance rather than footballing ability as well. So he scored a goal and wrapped up the game at 5-0. Mbappe then threw a tantrum at being subbed off on the 68th minute mark, throwing away Tuchel as he sort of tried to console him on the touchline and sort of storming down the tunnel past a coach. Not really what you want to see from Mbappe. And also, you've got a big month coming out with Dortmund in the Champions League. Tuchel's taking you off with 22 minutes to go with the game wrapped up. Why are you being like that? The game was done and dusted. PSG have 2 games in 8 days, and there was no sort of need to risk their sort of one of their premier talents for any longer. Of course, this has fueled more speculation that an exit in this summer could happen, and I think there will be quite a few clubs, Real Madrid and Liverpool probably, that will consider bids for him. I'm not sure whether he necessarily will move because it will take an enormous bid to get the deal done, and PSG obviously won't want to lose.
But if they were going to sell him, this would be the summer, right? Because he's got
so.
2 years left on his contract at the end of this season, and they're not going to want to sell him with a year left.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe 250 mil gets it done this summer.
No, I mean the place that's seems most logical for years has been Real Madrid, but actually the amount of wide talent they've got at the moment with Hazard, Vinicius, Rodrigo. Do you reckon?
Well, I think he'd be more likely to go to Real Madrid. That's always the talk we've heard. But if you want a guy who could play off the left and eventually become your star centre forward, like Mbappe is that guy, right? Whereas you look at Real Madrid and you're like, yeah, obviously he takes the pace of everybody there, but you're also kind of like, you've got wingers, you've got a left winger, and yes, you need a striker, but you also did invest quite a lot of money in a striker last year. So unless you send him to PSG as part of the deal, I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like Barcelona have really set their sights on Lautaro Martinez, seems to be the general chat as well, which would be another fantastic option as well. But guys, we want to know from you guys, do you think Mbappe will leave this summer? Yes or no? Why don't you vote in the poll and let us know what you guys thought of this ref and Neymar, the clash, in the comment section. And let's move on to our first loser.
Just before we get into our first losers of the week, make sure that if you're not subscribed to Eurofootball Daily, that you get down there and subscribe. Now hit the notification bell to never miss a video. And we move on to our first losers, who come from the Bundesliga. It's RB Leipzig and kind of Borussia Mönchengladbach as well. This comes from @Isaac_Krishnan. What happened in Germany?
Well, a lot of drama in this particular match. So RB Leipzig surrendered their place at the top of the Bundesliga despite coming back from 2-0 down to fellow challengers Borussia Mönchengladbach. Marco Rose's side took full control in the first half. Alisson Player put the visitors ahead before Hoffmann doubled their lead with his first goal of the season. Less than 10 minutes before the break by capitalising on a sloppy pass from Klostermann, who was playing in the centre of defence alongside Upamecano. After the break, it was Gladbach's turn to make some terrible errors. Jan Sommer and Zakaria sort of clashed in the middle of the box. Sommer dropped the ball, allowing Patrick Schick an easy tap-in to allow Leipzig back into the game. That was actually the Czech's 5th goal in 10 games and his 6th goal involvement. He's averaging a goal involvement every 93 minutes at Leipzig. That's even better than his breakthrough season at Sampdoria at 107 minutes per goal involvement back at Samp, I should say. The second half got worse for Gladbach when their best player on the pitch, Player, the man who completed 4 dribbles more than anyone else on the pitch, was sent off for a second yellow after complaining about being awarded the first yellow for a foul not given to Gladbach. So quite a few top players around Europe acting up this weekend. This pushed Leipzig forward, and in the dying embers of the game, 22-year-old Christopher Nkunku scored his 14th career goal with an absolute corker from 22 yards out. I obviously haven't seen all those 14 goals. I can't remember all those 14 goals, but I bet it's right at the top on the podium of the best goals he ever scored. Such a little backlift and such ferocity on the shot. I absolutely loved it. And Pat, he was the sort of deserved man of the match.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, also to say it was from 22 yards out, like, it makes it sound a little bit less impressive than it is. He's at an angle, like it's genuinely
with a man on him, yeah.
And it goes in at about 100,000 miles an hour. It's so good. Like, anyway, PSG graduate Nkunku, genuinely incredible in this game. 5 key passes, 2 dribbles, a 93% pass accuracy for an attacking mid, which is great, which is unreal, really. 7 crosses and obviously that equaliser. The XG on that shot was 0.02.
Wow.
That's
great.
Genuinely mental.
What a stat.
So, I mean, that just shows you how good a finish it was. And I don't know, I think that's probably the bright spot in a little bit of a disappointing game for Leipzig. Obviously, it's going to feel like a point gained, having come back from 2-0 down, but really it is 2 points dropped. They've won just 3 of their last 6 games, conceded 7 in that time, while Bayern, who are now top of the table, have got 6 wins in 6 and conceded just 3 in that time.
Ominous.
Yeah, that does feel a little bit worrying. If you wanted to see somebody else win the Bundesliga, that is, and stop Bayern winning their 8th title in a row. However, only 3 points separate the top 4, so anything can happen. It's the closest title race in Europe's top 5 leagues. And Leipzig as well, you know, I think for a lot of German football fans, seeing Bayern not win the title, but seeing Leipzig do it would feel a little bit...
Yeah, people wouldn't
empty.
Be rejoicing.
Yeah, exactly, because they are disliked because of their, you know, corporate funding. Anyway, who would you rather see win the Bundesliga? Bayern Munich again or RB Leipzig? Let us know in the comments below. We're intrigued to hear what you think.
Come on, Leipzig. Our second and final winner, as they seem to be regularly, but it is for good reason, so bear with us. It's Borussia Dortmund at the suggestion of @NatOsb2000. Pat, why is that?
Dortmund are now just 3 points off Bayern Munich. We thought we were maybe going to have a title race this season between like Leipzig and Gladbach, and it's going to end up being Dortmund and Bayern.
Same old story.
5-0 demolition of Union Berlin. They're on a frightening run of form right now. They've scored 5 in 3 consecutive games, Borussia Dortmund. In fact, they've scored 4 or more goals in 5 of their last 10 matches, most of any side in Europe's top 5 leagues. Now, Union Berlin were simply blown away. Only 7 shots on target, but 5 of those finding the net. 66% of the possession in the game, 13 total shots, but were rock solid at the back as well, which is a bit new for them. Conceded 0 shots on target. And there were nice scenes at full time too. Dortmund legend Neven Subotic, who now plays for Union, returned to the Westfalenstadion and was really kind of celebrated by the Dortmund fans, which was nice to see. He was obviously part of the side that reached the Champions League final and won a couple of titles there. But of course, as usual, after the game, we're talking about one player. It's Haaland. It's just like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty inevitable. The guy is, I we're sort of running out of superlatives to describe him. He just has taken to this new league, one of the best in Europe, probably the third best in overall quality, just so easily. Another brace for the guy, 19 years old. It was his first start for Dortmund, and he takes his tally to 35 goals and 8 assists this year. Hat-trick versus Augsburg, 2 goals versus Cologne, and now 2 versus Union Berlin. He's now the first Bundesliga player to score 7 in his first 3 games. Quite frankly, ridiculous. And he's done that in under 150 minutes of football. I mean, he is averaging a goal every 20 minutes for Dortmund.
He actually could win the European Golden Boot, you know, because I know you get fewer points for goals in lower leagues, but those goals will count.
Sorry, the European Golden Boot. I thought you meant from now to the end of the year.
No, that's
in the Bundesliga.
But like, he'll get points for all the goals he scored in Austria. Fewer than
Does
he
it
would
work
in the
out
top
on points?
Yeah, so basically if you score goals in like league, then you get like 1.5 per goal.
Okay.
But if you score a goal in like a real league, then you get 2 points per goal.
Right,
So,
okay.
so he'll be getting 2 points for each of these goals in the Bundesliga, plus 1.5 for all the goals he got in the Austrian Bundesliga.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, he's got a shout.
He does. Although Ciro Immobile continues to score, and I think we're getting on to him in due course. And it was also a great day for Jadon Sancho, who took his tally to the season to a whopping 14 goals and 14 assists in all competitions this season. I think only Immobile and Lewandowski have contributed more goals in the entirety of Europe.
Wow.
Since November the 11th, he has either scored or assisted in every single game he has played, bar 2. That is a quite frankly ridiculous record, and considering that in October he was dropped and fined for returning late from England duty. He was then substituted in the Der Klassiker after about 36 minutes, I think. And everyone was like, oh, maybe Sancho, this is the beginning of the end for him at Dortmund. He has just taken his game to a new level. That is Messi levels of contribution from him in terms of goals and assists. And assists, rather. And in the process in this game, he became the first Bundesliga teenager in history to score 25 goals in the league. But whilst their players are absolutely flying, the one thing that I thought was quite surprising from Dortmund this week is that they chose to sell Paco Alcacer to Villarreal, in that they wanted to increase their striking resources last month, and they obviously did so with Haaland coming in. But then to sell Paco Alcacer didn't really make sense for me when they've got so many games coming up, Pat. What did you make of that?
I mean, I kind of understand it, but I guess they don't really think of themselves as being in the title race anyway. So it will be annoying if they end up missing out narrowly. But yeah, I don't know, if somebody offers good money for him and he wants to go, because he hadn't been that much of a regular, maybe you just think, yeah, Royce can play there. And also right now we're getting goals from absolutely everywhere. I mean, like, Sancho, you think of him as an assister, but 12 goals in 12 games, like, I don't know. I guess they think that between Royce and Hazard and Brandt and Sancho and Haaland, and even, did Brun Larsen end up going out on loan?
I'm not sure whether he did actually. Did he? Yes. Oh, we're getting a nod from McCubbin, the all-knowing McCubbs.
But there's still so much depth there. So, I mean, who cares, man?
And they had a pretty good deadline day bringing in Emre Can as well. But the question we want to know from you guys is, where does Sancho rank in the players in Europe right now? Not just young players, players in Europe. For me, he'd be in the top 3. But we want to know your thoughts. Get them down in the comments down below. Let's move on to our final loser.
Our second and final losers of the week are Atletico Madrid, who, despite playing a Madrid derby this weekend, their result kind of went under the radar, but not for @ThomasA_B.
No, not for Thomas. Never misses a trick. But yeah, it was a slightly damp squid of a game. There wasn't that many, clear-cut chances.
Did you say damp squid?
Did I just say damp squib?
A Zackism.
Get that down on the look what the rats delivered. That's one of Zach's famous ones. Anyway, Atleti lost 1-0 to arch rivals Real Madrid to slump to 6th in La Liga, whilst Los Blancos maintained their 3-point gap at the top of the table. And this makes it 3 league matches without a win or a goal for Simeone's side, thanks to a 2-0 loss to Eibar and a 0-0 draw with Levante before this defeat. And as I said, it was a game low on chances, unsurprisingly given that these two teams have conceded just 28 goals combined in 40 matches this campaign. They really are leading the way in Europe pretty much, along with PSG, I believe. Just 2 shots out of 20 accounted for over half of the total XG. Angel Correa's 23rd minute effort, which hit the post from a tight angle, and Karim Benzema's 55th minute winner, assisted by a brilliant ball from Mendy, and such nice work from Vinicius Jr. in the build-up to that goal as well. That was the defender's first assist for the club, surprisingly, and he also completed 4 dribbles, a match high. However, Atleti can consider themselves a bit unlucky, with Casemiro escaping a penalty and a red card after he rugby tackled Alvaro Morata in the box. Still not the most finessed defender sometimes in the box, can be a bit clumsy at times. But they still had just 4 shots and 1 in the second half, so they'll hope that their loan move to bring back Yannick Carrasco from China will help out in attack. And Pat, there's problems at Atleti really going forward. It seems to be the main issue.
Yeah, they've got the joint fewest goals in the top half of the table. They're on 22, which is the same as Athletic Club. Only 5 teams in the division have netted fewer overall than them.
Blimey.
But I think they are getting a little bit unlucky. XG actually gives them the 4th best attack in the league. Says they should have 35 goals.
Wow.
4 fewer than Barcelona, and yet they've got 22.
So poor finishing, maybe good keeping against them, I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe, but I think, yeah, Morata and Felix are definitely underperforming. I think Correa is as well. Their expected goal difference is plus 18. It's actually plus 7. Their expected points tally, 43. They're actually on 36.
Okay, so they are really, really quite behind.
Yeah, it's pretty rough for them. To be honest, though, that run of luck was never going to end against Real. Atleti have now gone 3 games without even scoring against their rivals. 0-0, 0-0 and 1-0. That's something that had not happened to them since 2005.
And who would have predicted that after that pre-season? Was it
7-3.
pre-season for a 7-3?
7-3,
They got all their goals done in the summer.
Well, nobody predicted that Real would end up with a competent defence, that's
No,
for
true.
sure. But they've just set a new club record for goals conceded after 22 match days with 13.
Best in Europe,
They're
baby.
unbeaten since October 19th. They now have 3 winnable fixtures against Osasuna, Celta Vigo and Levante before El Clasico on March the 1st.
Which I think will confirm them as the out-and-out best side in La Liga. And they'll romp home to another La Liga title for me.
You say another one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while.
They
but-
don't win that many.
Exactly, but there'll be another one for their books.
Yeah, cool.
So our start of the week, our final section is the man of the moment. It's Ciro Immobile, and this came in from @CameronSmith.
This is the most basic ERU we've ever done. It's like Haaland is a winner.
Real
PSG,
Madrid.
oh. And then it's Immobile, the star of the week, playing bottom-placed Spal. But, of course, once again, starred for Lazio as they maintain pace at the top of the table. 2 points behind second place Inter with a game in hand. And it would be amazing if they finished even just in the top 2 after all the fuss that's been made about
Yeah,
Juve
because we were
and
talking
Inter.
about it off camera. I mean, they haven't won a title since 2001 under Sven, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Haven't really been in the reckoning even, really.
Yeah,
since
and
then.
you look at them now, they've only had 1 point in their last 2 games, both away from home. So this was a return to form, but they're still within touching distance because the other side's dropping points. They've got back-to-back 5-1 victories at home.
They're loving it in Rome.
They're so much fun. Anyway, they've got an important run coming up with 3 games in 8 days. This was the first, so off to a flyer. Took Immobile just 3 minutes to get off the mark, crashing in from Senad Lulic's flick on in a well-rehearsed set piece. Then his second goal, where he could have been looking for Caicedo.
I think it's a cross, to be honest.
Yeah, but
For me.
because he's taken it around the keeper, right, and then he's curled it into the
But it
into
deflects
the inside.
Yeah,
side.
but I think if it doesn't get the deflection off the keeper's legs, then it doesn't end up where it. I think it was a cross, really.
Okay, well, people love it though, don't they?
Yeah, I mean,
people
yeah,
love
yeah.
it when somebody scores an accidentally.
Oh, I
great
didn't know
goal.
he did some nice step overs in the corner and stuff. He's a more skillful player than I give him credit for.
This is the problem as well with Twitter, because in the past, right, you'd see the goal, there'd be no replay, and you'd be like, what an amazing goal.
Yeah.
And it would take you years before it came out on Premier League years for you to realise it was
a
an
deflection,
accident.
yeah.
Whereas now, on Twitter, like an hour after the game, people are saying oh, player didn't mean that incredible volley.
Yeah.
It's such
That
a
was
pain
really
in the
special, actually.
Anyway, your turn. Go
Oh
on.
yeah, sorry, it's me now. Caicedo was outstanding in this match. It seems like a long time ago that Philippe Caicedo was a struggling Man City player. Came off after 49 minutes, although the highlights didn't suggest why. Perhaps he's just being rested with that run of games coming up. Immobile setting up his second. Lazio hit 4 before half-time. The assist took Immobile to 31 goal involvements for the season. And his XG and XA currently stands at 1.04 per 90. Absolutely outrageous. And his 90 looked like this. He took 3 shots. He provided 3 key passes, 3 dribbles as well. 0 defensive work, 7 of his 43 touches in his own half, but outrageous in the opposition box. 3.4 of his 4.3 shots are inside the box this season. Absolutely ridiculous. Well done to him. He's now been given the man of the match gong 8 times in 20 starts this season, and he's been the best player in Serie A for me, probably alongside Ilicic, at least consistently. Pat, would you agree with that? Any other shouts you can think of? Ronaldo's obviously had a great run of form recently.
But I don't think Ronaldo's even been as good as Lukaku this season.
Do you find it annoying? Okay, so Ronaldo scored 2 penalties yesterday, and everyone's like, he's 35, how does he do it? 2 penalties.
Yeah, by being on penalties.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how he
like,
does it.
I mean, I hope I can
somebody
kick a ball in from 12 yards age 35.
Didn't somebody say this? That he's like, yeah, exactly. I'm 5 years away from that. I'm pretty certain I'll be able to score a penalty. But he's like, somebody said that it was his 50th goal that he's got for Juventus, and I think, did somebody say 27 of them have been pens?
Really?
Like, I mean, don't get me
surprised.
wrong, like, he's obviously still good. Like, he's been on a good run lately, because the first kind of third of the season, he was not just, like, not that great, he was, like, not good at all, in my opinion. I didn't think he was remotely good. And now, you know what he is? He's, like, a perfectly good striker.
Yeah, I think he's
But
really
that's all.
good. He deserves a lot of credit.
He's not
Like,
world class
scored-
anymore.
No, probably not. And he's scored against every Serie A opponent now. He's done very well there, and Sarri's found a system with him playing alongside Higuain and Dybala behind that seems to work the best for Juventus as well. So credit to Sarri there as well. But yeah, he's having a fine season. I think Twitter sometimes overreacts to these sort of things.
How does he do it? How does he do it?
How did he do it? He's
They
35.
win penalties, yeah.
Ugh, anyway, but guys, that's all we've got time for on ERU for this week. Thank you very much for watching. Let us know what you guys made of our comments in the comment section below. And Pat, what should they go do now?
Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast as usual. You get a new episode in your feed every Thursday. We've had some transfer updates recently, some news going around. It's been good stuff.
Yeah, the podcast is always brilliant. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.